We've been going through this study together about discouragement and how David got discouraged and distressed, the Bible says. And we're going to learn some things about this thing because it's a weapon that Satan uses against us. And we finished last week on remember this, that disappointment is not discouragement. We said disappointment is an event, okay? It's an event. Discouragement is an attitude. You got it? Disappointment is an event. Discouragement is an attitude. And the enemy will use disappointing events to get us discouraged in our attitude, okay? Now, what does it take to view an event or disappointment as a gift instead of a reason for discouragement? I want you to really ponder it. It's a mouthful. Get your brain wrapped around it. What does it take to view an event in your life or a disappointment as a gift, really, instead of a reason for being discouraged? We must remember that what Satan and others mean for evil, God means it for good. That's what we see in the scriptures in Genesis, in Joseph's life, as he went through a lot of discouragement and distress, and yet he comes out on it the other side, and he says to his brothers, who really sold him into that terrible place of slavery and then ended up in prison, he said, "But as for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people." Let me say this. God uses everything in my life, every disappointment in my life, every disappointing event, every negative event in my life to do an eternal and redemptive work through that disappointment. That brings value to my disappointment. It takes knowing that every event in your life is what? Filtered through the gentle hands of a loving God who gives nothing but good gifts to his children. When God's children misunderstand adversity, which is the event, then the enemy, Satan, uses it to discourage and paralyze the believers. That's what Satan's goal is, to do that. And a sure sign of spiritual warfare is when you start believing lies instead of truth and begin to doubting the reality or even the ability of God to bring you out of this valley that you're in. Daniel tells us about Satan, that the Bible says that the Satan will speak great words against the Most High and wear out the saints of the Most High. He'll lie to you about God. He'll say God doesn't really love you. He'll say God does not really accept you. He'll say God does not care about me. God is not fair. He'll say God cares about others more than me. God cannot use me. God cannot forgive me. God cannot be trusted. He'll lie to you about others. He'll say nobody cares. He'll say nobody loves me. The preacher's against me. The church does not accept me. No one understands me. Everyone is a hypocrite. My parents did not love me. My husband or wife does not love me. He'll lie to you about yourself. He'll put in your mind, well, I will never amount to anything. I'm stupid. I'm ugly. I can't get victory. I'm worthless. I'm filthy and dirty and cannot be used. I'm not accepted. I will never be loved. I cannot do anything for God. My work is not important. Let me look at the story of Elijah here just for a moment, and we see it there in the scriptures. In 1 Kings 19:3, it says, "And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life." Spiritual warfare is always about discrediting God and discouraging God's people through fear. Spiritual warfare is always about discredit God and discourage God's people through the fear. He wears out the saints of God by questioning God in their minds, by the what ifs of life, which is the unknown. He makes you question your future, which breeds fear in your hearts. These are some ways that Satan wears out the saints. We're going to come back here next week and do some more of this teaching on discouragement. I hope you don't miss any of it, okay?
Thank you for watching our Looking for Answers videos. And this next couple of weeks, we'll be looking at discouragement, the unaware weapon of Satan. And Satan uses this weapon of discouragement in many of our lives. So it's always great to hear what we can do and what God can do through us. So why don't you join us in the next couple weeks on discouragement, the unaware weapons of Satan.